What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk, and boy oh boy, Michigan barely gets the job done against Illinois in a scare. Michigan improves to 11-0 after beating Illinois 19-17. A very close game. Gonna be talking all about it here in this video, giving my post-game reaction and analysis, key takeaways from the game, some injury updates, and talk about the injuries, and lots more. It's all gonna be in this video. So if you guys are new around here, make sure you guys go ahead, leave a like on the video, subscribe for more, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so let's go ahead, start this video off with some injury news. Just came out, Jim Harbaugh post-game press conference says that Blake Corum was cleared to go back in. His knee was structurally good, which is great news, he said. And apparently, according to Chris Bayless on Twitter, said first report from the post-game locker room is Blake Corum has a bruise. So there's an update on Blake Corum, the first update that we got. That is really great news. We need him against Ohio State. More in the post-game press conferences. Michigan wide receiver Ronnie Bell on the offense today, he said, felt this for a while, leaving a lot of meat on the bone. So obviously, offense struggled in this game. They know it, the players know it, they have to get better. Then Jake Moody on his kick in his post-game press conference, he takes a shot at the SEC. He says, it's not the SEC up here, we have to kick in all weather. He also said in his post-game interview right after the game, asked about the pressure and what he was feeling and thinking about in that situation. He said, just thinking about putting the ball into the uprights. Jake Moody, aka Money Moody, won this game for Michigan. Absolute GOAT. But let's go ahead, let's talk about this game. Alright, so let's talk about it. Michigan barely beats Illinois in a very scary game. Everything just seemed to not go in Michigan's favor. In the first half, the first drive of the game was phenomenal. Blake Corum busted out a huge run. JJ McCarthy was passing the ball very well, and they scored 7 points. That was their only points of the first half. Michigan went into halftime leading 7-3. Although they should have scored on the drive that Blake Corum got injured on. He fumbled the ball, and obviously, when he got injured, he went to hold his knee, and he just dropped the ball because something happened to his knee. Thankfully, he was, he got up, walked to the locker room. He came out in the second half, was running but limping a little bit. He went into the game on the first play, and then after that, he didn't play the rest of the game. So we'll see throughout the week what happens, but Donovan Edwards, he wasn't available, so Michigan's running game was absolutely terrible in this one, really missing Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. I'm just gonna say, Michigan's offense, they have to get tremendously better by the time next weekend against Ohio State, especially if Corum isn't 100% in the running game. If they look what they looked like in the second half, Michigan could be in trouble if JJ McCarthy and the wide receivers don't get on the same page. Michigan left almost 3 touchdowns on the field today in this Illinois game. Looking back to the Corum fumble after he got injured, obviously that was a tough break for Michigan. Really sucked, and going into halftime, that's, to me, all I was worrying about was the status of Blake Corum. But then in the second half, Chase Brown was just going off. He had 29 carries, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he tied the game up 10-10. And then the next possession, he had a long touchdown run to put them up 17-10. So Michigan found themselves quickly trailing in the second half. JJ McCarthy threw a very good ball to Andrell Anthony. Andrell Anthony dropped the ball, should have caught it, and that was more points left on the field for Michigan. Granted, it should have been an offsides on Illinois, wasn't called, kind of got ripped off there, but he still should have caught it, still should have scored a touchdown. Andrell Anthony had a couple passes to him, he didn't catch one pass. JJ McCarthy, again, late in the game when they needed it the most, they were trailing 17-13, and he missed Colston Loveland 2 times in a row in the end zone. Michigan had to settle for a field goal to make it 17-13. The defense stepped up big, got a stop. Michigan, J.J. McCarthy faced a 4th down, threw it to Gash, got the 1st down, and ended up winning the game with a field goal from none other than Jake, aka Money Moody. J.J. McCarthy finished the game 18 for 34, 208 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interception. He has to get a lot better, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, the receivers are dropping the ball. I know, I get it, but J.J. McCarthy has to be better too. He has to go through his options, find the open guy, because there were a lot of times where I saw an open receiver, whether it be for a 1st down or on the drive where Colston Loveland was open twice in the end zone. He should have thrown the ball. In this game, though, Michigan was without Mike Morris, Donovan Edwards, Luke Schoonmaker, and obviously Blake Corum didn't play in the second half. However, Colston Loveland, the freshman tight end, stepped up hugely. He had 3 receptions, 50 yards on the game. Ronnie Bell obviously had another good game compared to the rest of the receivers. He had 3 receptions, 44 yards. Cornelius Johnson had 5 receptions, 38 yards. And Blake Corum had 39 receiving yards. And he also had 18 carries for 108 yards and a touchdown, even though he only played in the first half. Again, Michigan's defense played phenomenal. They had a couple miscues, especially in the second half, giving up 2 touchdowns. However, they fixed it, and they were the ones making the plays out there. The offense couldn't score. They got stops for them, and the players that stood out, Kenneth Grant was in there, the freshman. Mason Graham had a great game, getting multiple tackles and tackles for loss. R.J. Moten, Junior Colson, Mozzie Smith, Mike Sammersdale, Will Johnson, they all had 4 to 5 tackles on the game. Michael Barrett continues to play well. There was 1 turnover in the game, obviously Blake Corum, but he got injured on that play. Michigan had a total of 376 total yards, 208 passing yards, and 168 rushing yards. Illinois had 326 total yards, 178 passing yards, and 148 rushing yards. It was really just Chase Brown. He had 140 of those 326 total yards. But let me know in the comment section below what your guys' thoughts on this game was. Very nerve-wracking, but all that matters now is beating Ohio State next weekend. Let's go ahead and get into some key takeaways from the game. Let's start off with a good one. Jake Moody, he had 4 field goals, including a game-winning one. He continues to be reliable. Another key takeaway, though, was J.J. McCarthy and the receivers. They just were not making plays out there today. They have to fix it, especially against Ohio State. And then obviously one huge key takeaway for next weekend, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards in the run game. Illinois shut them down in the second half rushing. They could not run the ball, and we saw it at the end of the game there when all we had to do was run the ball up the middle, take the field goal for the win. We passed it on all 3 plays. So offensive line, running game with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they have to get healthy for next weekend against Ohio State. And then the defense, they let up 14 points in the second half. Up to this point, they only let up 6 points in the second half all season. But they didn't break late in the 4th quarter. They got some huge stops, especially on a 3 and out to give Michigan and J.J. McCarthy the ball with 2 minutes left. So Blake Corum, supposedly from Jim Harbaugh in his post-game press conference, said that his knee is structurally good. So hopefully, he's ready to go for Ohio State, healthy. And that's all that matters right now. Michigan improves to 11-0, a scary game against Illinois, but they win it 19-17. And all that's left is preparing for Ohio State, getting players healthy, and going into Columbus and beating Ohio State. Other than that, let me know in the comment section below your guys' thoughts, what you guys felt during this game. And, we gotta be better for sure next weekend, and hopefully we play our best football of the season next weekend. Other than that, hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you guys go ahead, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue. Peace.